Ini, no? Ini.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good. You can hear me.
I made it on and I can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Okay, this is, I'm here.
Now?
It's almost 6:30.
You're all muted. Okay, Paul Fritz. Okay.
Okay, Norma, do you have any more on the waiting? On the
I
waiting
can't
room?
hear. I can't hear Odie. She's talking. What is the deal?
Take your speakers at the bottom.
Where at?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Because
Good
I've got
evening, I
mine
can
all the
hear
way.
you.
Good evening. Thank you.
Norma, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
It is 6:31. For us to start the meeting, we need to establish a quorum. And at this time,
Alvaro just kicked in.
okay,
Chris is in. Pablo's in.
okay, and myself. So we do have a quorum. So it is 6:31. I will call the meeting to order. The next item will be, we will have a moment of silence. Thank you. And if we can recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
To the
and to the republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item will be if there are any public comments from the audience. And at this time, I welcome everybody. But if there's any comments from the Zoom meeting, if you can please state that you would like to make a comment. There's no one?
No,
Okay,
ma'am.
and if there are no other audience comments? None? Okay. So then the next item is the public hearings. We do not have any public hearings at this time. So item number 5 would be a presentation. It's the update presentation by Mr. Paul Fritz. He's the site manager for GCGV. So Paul, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem and council members and city staff. We really appreciate the opportunity to come in and give you guys an update a little bit on where we were or where we are. And over the last quarter, really enjoyed having some of you come to visit us, Mayor Pro Tem and Councilman Flores and Martinez. Really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy schedule to see firsthand what we're doing, because we're really proud of it. I have a very brief presentation this evening. Hopefully, Norma, did Colette get that to you?
Yes, sir. It's been
Okay.
handed out to the packets.
Okay, good. Everybody's got it. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one talking from paper here. So I am going to do just a real quick update, and I think the first page, it's got a graph on the right-hand side with our construction workforce. But I wanted to before I highlighted that, I wanted just to highlight the progress that we've made, and really of most importance to us is the ability to keep our workforce safe. We have a small town out there at 2986 and south of 181. And we are really proud to say that we've worked 10 million hours without a lost time injury. And really, most importantly, during this time of uncertainty with COVID-19, our measures have been very successful on site. Excuse me. Some of you had the opportunity to see what we're doing on site, and hopefully that gave you a breath of confidence that we have the right protocols in place, and we continue to work on those and beef them up as we go. And if we identify new things, new learnings from industry, from government, from wherever, we are implementing those on site, because it's really at the end of the day, it's about keeping our people safe. And we're very proud to say that we haven't had any workplace transmission at our site.
Awesome.
Move a little bit from safety to progress, and I am going to cover a couple pages on the module move, but I know of near and dear importance to really all of our hearts. Myself being a Portland resident, and I know anyone that's a Portland or a Gregory resident. How many people do we have, and what's the traffic going to look like is the big question that I always get. And you can see our projections over there to the right. So we have reached peak workforce on site. When I throw a couple indirects and my manufacturing team, we're probably at about 3,500 people coming into the site each and every day. Of course, the hours of when we come in and when we leave are broken up a little bit, and that helps alleviate things. But I am happy to say we've reached peak workforce on site, and it'll stay this way about where we are now for probably close to the next 6 months. We'll start to see a little bit of shift down in some areas, but that'll be compensated for by some shift up in some other areas. And so if you're watching traffic and wondering when will the actual raw numbers go down, that's probably sometime in the middle of this summer. We've made a lot of progress. For those of you that had the chance to come out to site and get a chance to look around a little bit, you've seen that we've got a lot of modules in place, and I'll show you a couple pictures of those here in a minute. A lot of what we call our stick build facilities are in place. Our tanks are topped out and pretty much done, just needing the piping hooked up and painting. The cooling tower is it's about as long as the Lexington, and it's in place, and all the fill is in, and they're doing the final pieces of that. So really, we are in good shape. and our module fabrication and deliveries really remain on or ahead of schedule in most instances. So we're really hopeful that that things continue to go this way. This is a very busy year for us with a lot of work going on. So it is one that that we're monitoring very closely. But I can tell you that the progress that the construction organization has made has really been awe-inspiring just to see this thing come up from the ground. So if you look at the next page, making the modules move, I probably don't need to show you guys pictures because chances are you drove down 181 while these things were sitting around one afternoon, and you drove down the next day and they were gone. These are the modules that have come in. We've had 26 of our 35 vessels be received down at the dock, down just on the other side of the North Shore Country Club, and we've been very successful, I think, in bringing these things across 181 with minimal impact. The story goes that they've gotten so efficient at this that sometimes they're moving across 2986 just on a red light without having to really shut down 2986. So I guess on one hand, we've done a whole lot of them. On the other hand, we've gotten a lot of good practice and are able to move them very safely and very efficiently through the community, hopefully with as minimal impact as we can possibly have from that. If you go to the next page, there's a couple more pictures of modules. Of course, for you guys, you just have to get up on 181 or drive down 2986 and you have the opportunity to see them. But you know, we're really at the kind of at the tail end of that peak of module movements, and so we expect our final module to come in late April, first week of May timeframe, and so only a handful of them left to come, and a lot of the construction on site, as I mentioned before, has gone very efficiently and very effectively. So in some areas of the plant, the entire plant is already in place, and we're just doing final hookups. I wanted to talk a minute. There's a page in here called Collaborating with Local Industry. I think it's important that you as community leaders understand a little bit of what we've been working on with other industry. I think, you know, we've had industry in San Patricio County for decades, but it hasn't been as extensive as it is now. And one of the things that we realized as industry about a year and a half ago is that we really ought to start to come together and work on some things together for the benefit of both our industry as well as our county. And so we formed a La Quinta Channel Plant Managers Network, which are the plant managers from GCGV, from Volstopine, from Cheniere, from Vopak, who's building the terminal down on Corpus Christi Bay, to Moda down in Ingleside, Chemours, and Oxy. We've gotten together and we've started meeting and talking about some of the things and some of the ways that we can help one another, and at the same time be more of a valued member to the community that we live and work in. And so we formed that group. One of the first things, or two of the first things actually, that we've worked on. One of them is to form a community advisory panel. These have been in existence in San Patricio County, down in the Ingleside area, on and off for many years. And what we decided to do is, rather than have some one-offs out amongst each of the different communities, is come together as industry and actually hire a professional facilitator so that we can have conversations with community members on a proactive, routine basis. We're thinking 6, 7, 8 times a year, get together and have varying topics where industry and community members can dialogue about what we're doing, what are their concerns, and be able to work collaboratively together for the long term. And so we expect to pick that off. We've actually hired a facilitator to help with that whole process. And we hope that we can probably have our first meeting. It's going to be a little tough doing a first time meeting on Zoom, but we're hoping in the second quarter sometime we can actually get together and have that first meeting with our community advisory panel. We've also been working on emergency response, and so a number of the companies that I mentioned that are part of this network have banded together and signed a mutual aid agreement to where if somebody had a situation where I could help or whether I needed help, we could help other companies with emergency response. If you go to some of the multi company areas such as the Houston Chip Channel, the Beaumont area, kind of South Chicago, Baton Rouge, some of the places over in Mississippi that have more than I'd say 2 or 3 industry players that are part of those communities. They've done very similar agreements. And so we see a lot of benefit from this. Many of us who are managing these facilities down here have worked in those other areas. And so this is something that we're really excited about to be able to, if somebody did have, of course we plan and we prepare for the worst and we work very hard to ever prevent that from happening. But if somebody did have something that needed help, that we're able to actually go in and help those other industry members. And so right now we actually have that out for signature, and everyone has agreed on the structure of how we would do that. And the last thing I wanted to just comment on is we've been actively working with the Coastal Plains LEPC. This is a group that up until a couple of years ago didn't have a whole lot of industry to plan for. A little bit with Oxy and Comores, but as you know, there's been substantial growth of industry in San Patricio County, and we've spent a lot of time working with them, kind of to bring that industry component into that local emergency planning committee. And so that's something we're working on right now. One of the main things that Brandon is working with that group and our responders is to we have a great notification system, Code Red, here in the county, but not everybody knows about it. And so one of the things that we want to do is to support the LEPC to get the word out of what Code Red is and get more people signed up for that community notification system. And so wanted to just give you a few examples of how we're working with local industry, really to make San Patricio County and our industry and our community and our government relations just a little better than hopefully than when we got here. So if you turn the next page, it starts with transition. And I think this is an important page that I want to talk to you guys a little bit about. With things moving along very, very well and really very fast, you're going to start to see our site transition from what it is yesterday, which was basically a pure construction site, to basically really a mixed use site. What does that mean? That means we're going to start some operations of facilities. And so that's called commissioning for us. We flush a lot of the equipment, we blow a lot of the equipment, we heat it up, get any of the residual rust and things like that out of the equipment before we go into our bigger startups later this summer. What that means for you is there's going to be a little bit different in terms of the sights and sounds of things that you'll see. Today you're probably used to a bunch of dump trucks going in and the sound of beep, beep, beep when a heavy equipment or a crane is going into reverse. Things will change a little bit. We'll start boilers up. You'll see, possibly a small steam plume. There may be instances with the wind is exactly right, and if you're out there on 2986, you'll hear a whoosh of a steam vent on the site. You'll hear things like testing of our emergency alarms on site even, and so we're starting to go through that process right now. We could be starting up a small boiler here as early as this week, and then in February, a bigger boiler. And so I wanted to share with you guys that we're starting to make that transition from just a construction site to really a construction site undergoing the commissioning process. And then later on this year, we'll move into the full startup. And we want to be transparent with you and communicate those things. So as we go through this and as we start to do different things, hopefully many of you saw on our Facebook page last week, we put a quick communication that we were starting this commissioning processes, and things will look a little different, or could look a little different. Most of it's buried down in the pipes of the unit, but we wanted to be transparent and communicate with you that we are making that change of the site into something a little different. So we'll continue to use Facebook. I'd like to use forums like this to communicate with you, personal emails, LinkedIn. I think Brandon's putting this stuff kind of all over out there. And I would urge you that if you ever have any questions on what we're doing, please give our public affairs team a call, or I think many of you have my business card. Feel free to give me a call. We're in this mode now of it's 24/7 for us, and somebody is always around to answer the call. It may not be on the first ring, and they may have to call you back after 15, 20 minutes, but somebody will be around to answer questions as we go through this next phase. So if you jump the page, Good Neighbor Program, really pleased with our contributions to the community. We just completed in early December our United Way campaign, where our employees. Now this is employee dollars, so in a time like today, with with the current economy the way it is, our employees ponied up $185,000 to the United Way, and I'm really proud of what they've done. Really, we're one of the top employee contributors to the United Way in the region, and really great to see. I've got about 400 employees on my manufacturing team who will stay and live here when the project is all done. Really proud to see them being really active and taking a part, not only in United Way, but if you turn the next page, our Good Neighbor Program, that group plus the construction group helped about 300 kids in the area. We did Angel Tree for students in GPISD for Gregory in Portland. We helped some kids in Taft. Our construction group did a big donation for holiday gifts for teens in foster care. You know, a lot of people like to give to the small kids and help them out, but oftentimes the 15 and 16-year-olds get forgotten. And our construction crew focused on kind of that mid-teens group. So really, just very proud of what the organization has done, and have really seen them step up to the plate and really try to become a part of this community. You know, we hired about half of our workforce from here, so they're happy to be back, and then the other half came from other places around the country, and they're just really excited to be part of a new community. If you look at the next page, there's some things. Coastal Bend Food Bank we participated in, I think 3 or 4 times. Well, we're going to do another one down I think at the Grace Church off of Wildcat tomorrow in partnership with them. And then we've also, just this past weekend, about 80 of our employees and their family members were spread out across San Patricio County into Aransas County and a little bit over in Nueces County, doing a bunch of manual labor, hard work out in the various parks and the nature preserves to make it a better place to live. So if you go to the very last page, I just wanted to say thank you to you. You know, we couldn't be who we are without a community that supports us, and just wanted to say thank you, and we really appreciate what you guys are doing to really to both run your city and prepare for industry to be around you. It was really a pleasure to have the visitors, and I would offer up to the rest of council, if there's a time that works for you and works for us, we'd be happy to bring you out and show you a little bit of what we do out there. Of course, it's all with COVID protocols and things, so we can't have big groups, but we do want you to understand and be aware of what we're doing. I would guess probably the next time that is a good time for me to come talk to you is around the May time frame. Right now we're going to be air blowing and steam blowing for the next couple months. When we get into the May time frame, June time frame, we'll actually be starting up bigger equipment, and I want to come back and talk to you before we start doing that, give you a heads up of when we can start to see rail cars moving a little bit more on the rail line. Right now, it's just a 40 miles of track in a rail yard. There'll be a day where we have 40 rail cars coming in and 40 rail cars going out. So I want to just come in and talk to you guys a little bit about what that means to operate. So we were thinking in the May, June timeframe to come back and do that. I'd be happy to take any questions if anyone has any.
Just one question, then on the completion of the module transporting across 181. Once that's all done with Mr. Fritsch, will those construction barrels and the be all removed out of the way, and or will it stay there because there's another project going on a Buddy Gannon overpass?
Yeah, TxDOT is driving a lot of that. For us, we really, usually when we do one of these and they're not doing an overpass at the same time, they'll move actually the Jersey barriers up and out of the way. So I think most of that is there for the 181 bypass right now. I haven't seen a schedule on that. I'm hoping that kind of moves a little quicker, because I know that's the bottleneck over there. But when we get to April, May, we plan to start work on reinstating everything to give it back to the heavy haul road is owned by the port. So we'll give that back to the port. We'll do the road repairs that we need to do on that. We'll also be at some point, it won't be till a little bit later in the project, paving the portion of the heavy haul road that we use for plant entry right now between 181 and 2986. So we'll be able to access the plant from the north, from the east, and from the south on 2986, kind of three accesses. But I think most of those barrels there today are for 181.
Okay, thank you. And that was a perfect presentation. I appreciate that, Mr. Fritsch. I'm very familiar with this. I wish the council was familiar with it, because I'm in this business myself as a water inspector, quality control and assurance. I'm familiar with modules and all the transport and all that. And it's an amazing thing to watch as these modules come together and then put them together and start commissioning and stuff. It's just, it looks like it's been going through a smooth transition since day one. So that worked out pretty good. Like you said, the more y'all do it, the better y'all getting at it.
Yeah, well, we're really proud of the team, and I have to thank you guys, our community leaders, for really having confidence and faith in us that we're going to do what we say we're going to do. It would have been real easy for our community leaders to say, we're not so sure, but everything I've heard so far from people is, hey, you guys are doing what you said you would do. That makes me proud that we didn't overcommit. But I also feel really good that we have the support of our community to do this. And as a fairly new Gregory Portland resident, I'm really kind of pleased to see the things that are going on in this area. This is going to be a hotbed for growth, I think, in terms of new amenities and things like that in the city. I guess we got a Bill Miller's coming, and I know we have a new Stripes in Gregory. I haven't stopped in yet, but I'm going to get a taco one of these mornings.
They're actually pretty good.
They are good.
And a new restaurant just down the street, right? Something Susie's with the big boy out there. Yeah, that brings back the old days with the big boy sitting in front.
But yeah, thank you again, Mr. Fritsch.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for coming out and visiting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, GCGV, and we will be waiting for their next presentation in May.
All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Have a good
Appreciate
night.
you having us.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay. All right, council members, the next item on the agenda is item 6. It's the consent agenda. All of the following items are considered to be self-explanatory by the city council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests. So the consent agenda item is the approval of minutes, the special called meeting of January 11th, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
I make motion to approve the minutes of 2020, December,
January?
January 11th,
January.
21.
Okay,
I reviewed them and I don't see no issues with.
all
Council.
right, thank you. Okay, Councilman Martinez made the motion to approve the minutes on the consent agenda item. Thank you. The next agenda item is number 7. It'll be action item A. It's the discussion and possible approval of municipal advisory agreement with Hilltop Securities, presentation by Mr. Andre Ayala. Now, council members, as you can recall, this was last year or 2 years ago, we had a presentation by Mr. Ayala and his team, the Hilltop Securities. And now with the Somerset development project coming along, our attorney, Cynthia from Denton Navarro, had asked the council that with the development agreement of the Somerset development that she had reviewed, that now the council has the go-ahead to start looking for a financial advisor bondsman. So I had called Andre Ayala if he could come in, and this is why this action item is posted on the agenda. So Mr. Ayala, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Reyes. My name is Andre Ayala. For those of you that haven't met me before, some of you may recall I was out there in July of 2019 for a very preliminary workshop as to how we could assist the city of Gregory as its financial advisor. As a recap, I'm part of a team of 4 bankers that would be working with the city of Gregory if we're chosen to serve as the city's financial advisor. My partners, Jim Sabonis, Chris Vela, and Jorge Delgado. Myself and Chris Vela were out there in July of 2019 to talk about how we can assist the city. As an overview, I work for Hilltop Securities. We're part of a firm that has been around since 1946. My primary job, which is 99% of the time, is to serve as financial advisor to communities in Texas. I do have some engagements that are a little bit different in nature or out of state, but for the most part, I serve communities in Texas as financial advisor. It could be small cities, big cities, schools, counties, you name it. So that is my background at the firm. I've been working in this industry since 2007. And one of my expertise, one of my fields of expertise is actually economic development. So I am very fortunate to be in that field, and have participated in virtually all kinds of economic development projects. My partner, Jim, was the first one that actually put together a public improvement district bond here in the state of Texas. And between him and myself, we have actually structured about a third, or maybe a little bit more, of all those economic development bonds that use a public improvement district here in the state of Texas. So that is some background about myself. I circulated a handout back in July. I can share it in my screen if you all want to. It talks about our firm, what we do, how long we've been around. We're the leader in Texas as far as financial advisory firms go. But here's the most important thing. Our role is to serve as the city's fiduciary. So it is a legal relationship if you choose to engage us, where our interests have to be the city's interests. So we're not going to buy bonds from you, and we're going to sell bonds for you either. We will be advising you if you sell bonds to someone. So for example, you have a Somerset project that may involve a sale of bonds. We would be acting as the city's financial advisor in such a transaction. We would not be buying the bonds or selling the bonds to anybody. Our role is to serve as the city's advisor. In a project of this nature, for example, we would act as an information provider, because information is power. So the more information this council has, the better decisions it can make. And these economic development projects can be very complex. I understand that there's many moving parts, and we're here to help you. We're just part of a team. There's more people involved. You'll have a city attorney or a special counsel. You'll have an engineer. You may have a bond attorney, a law firm that only specializes in bonds. You may have a PID consultant. There's many people involved, but we specialize in advising the city on all the financial matters involving these kinds of projects and in general. So for example, if you have the need for a bond to build a road, we can assist with that. If you have the need to refinance your existing debt to lower interest rates, right now they're very low, we can assist with that. So those are the things that we do for our communities. Now I'm gonna turn it over to you, Mayor Pro Tem, or council members. If y'all have any questions as to what is it that we do and how we can provide value to the city of Gregory.
Not at the moment, Mr. Ayala. I've familiar with y'all before because y'all have come and met the council before last year, I believe, early in 19, I believe, somewhere mid 19. And I'm going over to this municipal advisory agreement that we have. Either we take action tonight or table it for further discussion. But I'm familiar with where you're coming from in your perspective. But this agreement that we might take action on tonight is, do you have that in front of you?
Yes, sir.
I had a question on the Appendix B of Section 2. If you can just go to Section 2, baseline advice on outstanding issuances of municipal securities.
Yes, I got it here.
Okay, it says there shall be no additional fees due Hilltop Securities in connection with the municipal advisory services set forth in Section 2 of Appendix A. Meaning that if y'all do a separate extra scope of work, that's going to be extra fees on that or not? This is where I was a little bit confused.
Sure. No, that's a great question. So we normally get paid if there is a bond transaction. In most cases, let's say you just call me for a question about a bond that you issued or intend to issue, I'm not gonna bill you hourly unless I send you a letter and then there's a mutual agreement between us and the city that we will be billing hourly or a monthly retainer or something like that. So let's say that you do have bonds outstanding now, bonds that were issued about 10 years ago. And let's say that you want to know whether you can refinance that bond. And you give me a call or shoot me an email and say, hey, can you analyze whether I can refinance this bond? I can do that if I'm engaged, but I'm not going to charge you unless the transaction closes, if it does.
Okay, that explains it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question for Cynthia. Cynthia, did you review the written agreement with the Hilltop Securities?
Yes, ma'am, I did. And I only had one question on the agreement. I apologize. I wasn't able to get that back off to Norma until last Friday, so I don't know if that made it over to Mr. Ayala for review. But my only question, sir, was if y'all would be in agreement on page, let me sneak up on it right quick, hang on. On page 7, you have a limitation of liability section in there, and that's pretty standard for this type of contract. However, my inquiry is, would y'all mind if we revise that just a bit and say that the limitation of liability would only be to the extent as provided for under Texas law? With that, everything else within the agreement is approved as to legal form.
Yes, Mr. Trevino, that should work. If you don't mind just sending me the suggested language and I'll run it by my attorney, but that should work.
Okay.
But otherwise, Cynthia, your recommendation, because I mean, this is a lot of reading material. What would you recommend to the city council at this time?
So what I can tell y'all is that the city council has the right to hire professional services These are definitely professional services. You have the right to hire them directly. You're not required to have to go out for an RFP or an RFQ or anything like that. You know, so this is, and I would strongly recommend that you do get a financial advisor on board for the Somerset development because, you know, while we, as your special counsel, we're pretty handy with numbers, you know, that the finances is a really technical and an area that requires heavy duty experience and knowledge in finance areas. So we do recommend that y'all do have a financial advisor on board to review for the Somerset, but entirely your policy decision on who you want to hire.
Okay,
Okay.
Mr. Ayala, on Appendix B, Section 1, the base fee number there, the dollar amount, is that going to be the total dollar amount other than anything other than that worker scope?
So the base fee is just our fee regardless of the size of the transaction. So if you do 1 million or 30 million, our base fee doesn't change. And then there's an incremental fee based on the size of the transaction as our liability would increase with that.
Okay.
Question?
Yeah, that answers my question, because I also see this on Section 3, which is particularized services on outstanding issuances of municipal securities in connection with other post-sale services described of Section 3 of Appendix A hereto. Hilltop Securities shall charge a fee based on an hourly rate for services rendered in accordance with the following schedule. I see the hourly rate there, and then I'm sure that's legit. But at what point does the city require to reimburse the Hilltop, or actually pay additional funds to fees to the Hilltop? And at not only at what point, but at what level would we be being charged per hour?
So that fee schedule is just our standard hourly fee schedule, Mr. Martinez. It's very rare that I charge by the hour. I think the last time I did that was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and it's usually under a mutual agreement. So let's say that you want me to analyze and work with you on Somerset, but it's not gonna lead to an issuance of bonds, then I may be asking you whether the city would entertain an hourly or retainer payment, because there's gonna be no bonds, so I'm not gonna be paid if there's a finance.
Right.
We wouldn't have any. Now,
Okay.
by securities law, every time that I do something for you, I'm required to tell you exactly what I'm gonna do. So for example, let's assume that our firm gets engaged tonight, just as an example, and I tell you that we have the opportunity to refinance your existing bonds for savings. I am required to send you a disclosure document by securities law that will say, City of Gregory, we are under this relationship. I'm your financial advisor. You're an issuer of municipal bonds, and I'm going to be working on X transaction. And here's what I'm going to be doing. And here's what my fee schedule will be. So under no scenario, I'm going to show up with a bill on an hourly basis, because I have to first tell you what I'm going to do and what the fees are going to look like.
Okay. That makes perfectly sense, and then it sounds better than what we experienced in the past. So thank you for that, Mr. Evans, for the explanation.
Sure.
Council members, do you have any more questions or discussion on with Mr. Ayala on the Hilltop Securities? Okay, if there's no more further discussion, do I hear a motion for action item A, discussion and possible approval of municipal advisory agreement with Hilltop Securities, presentation by Mr. Andre Ayala? Do I hear a motion?
Don't we need to wait for the council to agree with the change that was recommended by the
Oh, that's
counselor?
right. I'm sorry. That is correct. Because I know Cynthia had recommended about a change on that. I think, I can't remember what it was.
It was a
was about the
limitation of
wording.
liability.
So-
Mhm.
So this limitation, y'all can go ahead and approve this contract for tonight based on that contingency. I have yet to see any attorney that does securities work say no to just adding the simple phrase to the extent permitted by law and then the rest of the phrase. Because it's literally that minor of a revision, but it does help protect the city just in case, which is what I always do with your contracts.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that, Cynthia.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So with that being said, do I hear a motion? Oops.
Is, before I make motion, is that how we want to word this item? It's the approve a municipal advisory agreement with Hilltop Securities. In addition to changes being made to the limitation of liability, or do I just? Or is that?
Yes, you can put it that way. And if for some reason or another Hilltop, legal just absolutely digs in and says absolutely not, then we'll give you notice of that. And then, you'll have to seek a new financial advisor.
Okay. Well, that being said, I'll make motion to approve a municipal advisory agreement with Hilltop Securities and the city of Gregory with the changes being done to the limitation on liability on letter E of section 3.
Okay. Councilman Martinez made the motion. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Councilman Lopez seconds the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4 ayes, 0 nays. Motion carries. This agenda is closed. The next agenda item, action item is B. It's discussion with possible action on statement of objection to ordinance 2020-12-02 to approve annexation of 30.46 acres. Council members, I will make it short. This protest that I had presented had been, we had no quorums for the past 2 council meetings, which was on December 21st and January the 4th. So just to begin on my protest, I would just like to state that the reason that I had written down this letter as protest was, first of all, that the RV park economic impact study numbers do not apply to the city of Gregory. It is not an economic development project. The RV parks do not attract business. RV parks follow industry. Council members' refusal to hold a workshop. That was my second reason of this protest. For every time that we have been requesting a workshop, the council has been refusing on the RV park.
I disagree. I have to disagree there, Ms. Reyes.
Councilman Martinez, can I finish and then you can have, thank you. Okay, that council refuses to hold a workshop on the RV park to discuss the infrastructure and how it will impact our wastewater treatment plant. On December 7th, there was a public hearing again, and it was recommended to council by city engineer Robert Vieira to table and hold a workshop. The citizen Jeronimo Garcia, who is also a 4B board member, and myself had also asked for a workshop, but the council refuses to hold a workshop and will not listen to the citizens' concerns. Today, an action agenda item, which is on today's agenda, it's item E. Council member Pablo Martinez is wanting to set a workshop meeting date to discuss the infrastructure needs of the wastewater treatment plant. At this time, what I've been noticing, there's just too many red flags on the RV park project. That is why I am protesting this RV park. Now, no matter what the outcome is, Okay, no matter what the outcome is, we still have to make a decision, move forward, and then just do as a city council what we need to do for the city. Once I hear your comments, I do have some questions on my protest that I would like to ask the council members, and then I will close with that. So at this time, thank you for letting me finish my reasons for the protest. So I would be more than happy to hear your comments.
Okay, Ms. Mayor Pro Tem Reyes, I don't recall refusing having a workshop for the citizens during that meeting. What happened was LNV engineer Robert Vieira and Jeronimo Garcia, they asked for recommendation to table this item or for further discussion. And then after that, it was just discussed and discussed and discussed. And it was never given a reason or an answer of why we're gonna table it. It was just moved on. Nobody refused. Nobody said, no, we don't want to have a workshop. No, we don't want to hear you out. Nobody said that. The way you make it sound that we refused it, the council. That never happened. Okay, and as far as the RV park coming into play, the impact that it was going to have towards the wastewater plant was minimum compared to the Somerset project that's coming. And the reason why I'm asking for a workshop for the wastewater treatment plant is because of the Somerset project, which is going to bring in over 100 GPDs versus the RV park, which was going to take them a majority. Actually, they mirror images RV park to the one in Baytown. And if you recall, for the past 2 years that it's been open, the most GPDs they've been having is 7,000 to 8,000. And this RV park developer actually told the city in public that he was willing to go up to 15 GPDs, and it still wouldn't affect come close to the 75% capacity wastewater plant. So my question to you directly is, why hold off on this project in order to move forward with another one? This project is, you say it's not bringing in attracting development. Well, it sure is, because of this RV park, now there's other developers that want to come in and build hotels. I just got a call not too long ago by one of the property owners that another developer wants to come in and build a hotel, a Baptist church, and then there's other developers want to come into the 18-acre tract and want to develop as well. So you say it doesn't bring development or growth? So
Okay.
I got a
Thank you.
question now.
Okay, so.
If you're
are
done,
you
Pablo.
No,
Okay.
are you done, Councilman Martinez? Thank you.
You're
So Councilman Flores, you're next.
Okay, so I have a question. You said, and I mean, we moved forward with it, and they advised that they would like to table it, like Pablo was saying, the Mr. Garcia and the LNB, Mr. Vieira, but it was just an advice. There was no backing, and it didn't make sense to do, the whole workshop for the minute amount of water that they were going to be using. And then furthermore, I've got a question on why you objected to it. And then for the following meeting, you weren't even there for the meeting. Like, you weren't going to even be there to argue the fact that you objected to it. So if we would have shown up, we could have just passed it straight through. So why was that? So in other words, you just did it on purpose to stall it, is what it looks like. And I want to know why. What's the big deal? And everything that everybody's reading off is the same thing. So it's like a group of people that got together and they're all reading the same paragraph.
Well, Mr. Flores, let me add to that. It's just like
Councilman Martinez, you already had your
Something,
comment,
there's always gonna.
but I can answer Councilman
It's an open
Flores.
discussion.
Yeah.
No, it is, but I can answer your question
Okay,
before
please do.
Councilman Martinez jumps in. Okay, you had mentioned that I wasn't even there. On November, it was on the month of November, I had sent a report to Norma, and this was before the December 7th public hearing meeting.
Yes,
I
that you were going
had
to be
said
out.
that I was going to be on vacation, spending time with my family on December 21st. The
Mhm.
council members had already known since November that I was not going to be at that December 21st meeting, not knowing on December 7th, when that public hearing was held and the ordinance was done, it was already said and done. I didn't plan it to do it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. I planned on my vacation, and also the council, if you can recall, as a council being December 21st, that whole week, which was the Christmas holiday, you as council members could have requested, as I had already mentioned, I was not going to be present at that meeting, but not one of you as council members recommended to cancel the 21st meeting.
Well, can I reply now? Because
sir.
for one, the only person that can preside the meeting would be you, if I'm not mistaken. For two, well, I understand you were going to be on the 21st, but your objection didn't state that. Your objection was merely an objection without a reason or a cause, or, I mean, you could have added, hey, I'm on vacation, but here's my fighting points. Not even that.
Yeah.
We just got the letter saying, hey, I object. I'm not signing it.
Okay.
That
All
was
right.
my concern.
All right. Thank you. Councilman Lopez, do you have any comments?
All I know is we already voted on it. We should move on with this and get on with the meeting.
All right, thank you. Okay, so my next part of the protest is questions that I would like to ask the council members. And on these they're just simple questions, just answer yes or no. If you refuse that, like I said, it's okay, here it is. Okay. On my first question, council
Sorry, you
members,
said if we refuse what?
it's just questions that I would like to ask
You
you.
didn't finish your sentence. You said if we refuse what?
If you refuse, if you can just answer on the questions, yes, no, or you refuse to answer the question.
Okay.
I got a
Okay.
question for you. Before you even start, what is the purpose of what you're saying and asking these questions for?
I want this recorded because it's something that has already been approved, but I am still against the process and how this went through with the RV park, no workshop. But here again, like I said, this is as Mayor Pro Tem. I
Well, let
want
me
to
ask you
ask these
this.
questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. So the first question, council members. So you read, you reviewed, and you approved the RV park economic impact study numbers for the city of Gregory to be correct, which is, and the one I'm talking about is that impact study that Mr. Bell had sent out. Well, it had a whole bunch of numbers, and you know me, I don't know anything about numbers, but I did ask. I asked if these numbers, because they didn't make any sense to me. So with these numbers, it was just numbers that I felt were just misleading. So with that if it is to be correct, that will it provide sales tax and jobs to the city of Gregory as stated? So my question is that, council members, you reading it, because we did get it until November the 4th when I had requested this, and we all got it through email because I had never seen it before on the impact study. So you as council members, do you approve that the numbers that are in this impact study, economic impact study, is correct for the city of Gregory? Councilman Martinez.
Give me some numbers.
On page 21 for jobs, the first year, it says that it will create 265 jobs the very first year on page 21.
The RV park itself or for the city of Gregory?
The RV park.
For the
And
RV park
creation
itself?
of jobs, because that is the number that is posted on page 21. And that is the number that is estimated that there will be 265 RV parks or trailers, mobile homes, or the,
Slips, spots, whatever.
yes.
I've
So
never
my
built-
question is, yes, do you agree that the number is correct?
I can't say I agree because I've never built an RV park, so I wouldn't know how many employees would it
Okay.
take to build an RV park.
So you say no, sir? So you don't approve that the number is correct, what they have provided?
I
can't
think
say
this should be
no.
done in closed session or something because this is not right, in my
Okay.
opinion. I mean, does the counselor agree or is this something that should be discussed this way?
What, are you asking to go to closed session?
I'm thinking so, we can, or I think we should.
It's just a question.
So council members, what I would say is where we're at right now doesn't qualify for closed session. But I will also say as council members, you're not required to have to answer the questions either. Mayor Pro Tem can certainly ask them and, depending, how y'all feel about that, you're not required to give any other response other than what y'all have already stated. And then
Right.
the vote on
I'm
whether
just
y'all
trying to give her the answer to the direct answer to the direct question that she's asking.
Okay, but I can ask the question.
Yes, you can.
So here again, council members, the question is that you read, reviewed, and approved the RV Park Economic Impact Study numbers for the city of Gregory to be correct, that it will provide sales tax and jobs to the city of Gregory as stated.
Okay, now you mentioned to the city of Gregory.
Yeah, but you didn't let me finish.
Council members, I obtain from these questions.
Okay,
I do as well.
Was that?
I mean,
All right.
as abstaining. I'm not gonna answer these questions. This
I'm
is
not
like an
either. It's
entrapment.
ridiculous.
Mayor Pro Tem.
council
This is
member,
entrapment.
second question,
You
second
need to
question.
represent the city, Mayor Pro Tem, not you know who.
Council members, this is it's just a protest. It's a plain and simple.
We've
You
been
don't
through
have
this
to answer.
already. You already know the
So
vote.
second question is, council members, you approve the RV project with no development agreement from the developer, only the statement from Mr. John Bell that no development agreement is required since developer is paying for all infrastructure, engineering and permit fees. Mr. Bell also stated will add a $10,000 impact fee. Now here again, this is just a question. If you refuse to answer, that's understandable. Okay, that ends my protest letter. So it being an agenda item, do I hear a motion for agenda item B, discussion with possible action on statement of objection to ordinance 2020-12-02 to approve annexation of 30.46 acres? Do you approve the statement of my objection, or no, you do not approve my statement?
I'm gonna go with the motion to continue with the annexation of the 30.46 acres as we did originally. Your statement was just a protest statement. It didn't really have any binding, in my opinion.
All right, Councilman Flores makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Okay, Councilman Lopez seconds the motion. All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Okay, 3 ayes and 1 nay. Motion carries. This item is closed.
Thank you.
Thank you, council members.
Thank you
Okay, the
very
next
much.
item on the agenda is consideration with possible action to review and approve applicant for the position of Public Works Director. Norma, do you have any information on that?
The only thing I have as of right now, I have not drawn up a contract. We need to sit down with him before I even bring him in. I cannot do a contract until we decide as to we're gonna bring him in or not. He's already been doing our wastewater projects as far as information, doing reports, monitoring. He's the one that has a license for all of this. And he's been under contract. So we're looking into just hiring him full-time. That is what I'm looking into.
Okay.
He will no longer be a contract worker, so we wouldn't need a contract. He's going to be a full-time city employee.
so I got a question on that.
Yes, sir.
Like, so when they're on call and stuff, right? Like, we pay their mileage and stuff, right?
No,
No?
no.
Or when they start leaving the house? Because
Yeah.
this guy lives in Bishop, right?
No, we don't, what we pay them is a fee of, for the on-call is a $20 unless they come in and do work, then they're paid overtime. Any hours that they put in while they're on,
Mhm.
on call, that will be overtime.
Okay. I'm just making sure we can cover that because it's,
Yeah,
Well,
no,
that's a good
we
drive.
don't pay mileage or anything like that. We
Oh,
just
okay.
pay him an on-call fee. That's what we pay.
I'm good with bringing in Mr. Dave Ferger in with the city. We need him. We need his credentials.
Sure do.
That's he has them, and he's already contracted to the city. It's been budgeted to where we can hire a public works director. My recommendation to the council is to bring him on, hire him with the city. We can always review the contract and the next agenda, Norma, if you can put it together.
Well, he
Well,
wouldn't need a contract because he's no longer going to be a
Right.
contracted employee.
Exactly. It'll be just a full-time employee.
Right. Mhm.
I agree
Councilman
with that.
Martinez or Norma, shouldn't we have an interview with him on this position?
That would
Isn't
be,
it required?
That would be something that you would like to do. I'm used to working with him. I work with him on a daily basis, so I didn't see the need for me to interview. But if you want to interview, I could probably try
Well,
and set
as a
up.
council,
That's what I'm saying. If the council wants to set up a date, let me know so I can sit with him.
Okay.
He won't
Well,
be coming in. He won't be coming in until the latter until February.
Is there a reason why he didn't show up tonight for this agenda item?
Right now, he was in an emergency. He had an emergency to go to the hospital for kidney stones. So we're working on that right now.
Okay.
that's totally up to the council, but I don't see any need for an interview. I mean, he's not new to the city. He's already involved with the city.
I agree.
Yeah. On that, council, I do agree, but I feel that we should table this matter just for now until we can see the contract. I mean, see the contract as you had mentioned, even though he already has one, just to make sure that.
He won't need a contract.
There won't be a new contract. It'll be
Be an
There
an
won't be,
employee.
because he's not going to be a contracted employee.
Norma.
He will now become a city employee, a
Norma,
regular city employee.
staff right now, nobody has a contract, Mayor Pro Tem. Everybody's
Oh, they,
employed.
okay.
Only contractors have contracts.
Okay, so with this item, it's a consideration with possible action to review and approve application for the position, action to review and approve applicant for the position of Public Works Director. Do I hear a motion?
I make motion to approve the applicant for the position of Public Works Director.
Okay, Councilman Martinez makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
I
I'll
second it.
second it.
Okay, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Who was it?
Alvaro,
Okay, Councilman Lopez seconds the motion. Councilman, I'm gonna abstain from this one. I really do feel we need more information, even though he is under no contract, but we need to interview, even though he is gonna be a new employee. So I'm gonna abstain,
That's fine.
okay? So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, 1 abstain.
Norma, for the minutes, if you could please be sure to put the applicant's name in parentheses.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 3 ayes, 1 abstain, motion carries. This item agenda is closed. Action item D is a consideration with possible action to review and approve applicant for the position of municipal court assistant judge.
Okay, I have a question to Ms. Cynthia Trevino. Since the agenda is worded out for a position of a municipal court associate judge, can we rewrite this wording or change the wording from a court associate judge to a primary judge?
So that really is going to be up to your applicant if she's willing to, you know, accept the position as the primary judge. I don't know, you know, what y'all have, you know, budgeted for that, where y'all are at. So right now we've got it as associate judge. So if we're going to make that change, we'd really actually have to bring it forward, you know, at the next council meeting to make that. That's a fairly major change.
I mean, it's just removing the word associate, and we are budgeted for a primary judge, which we already have one. But the one that we have on at the moment is pretty much not performing or not.
Right. I remember y'all had some issues there.
So my thing was,
I think the safer action, Councilman, you know, just to make sure that we stay compliant with the open meetings, is that we can approve her tonight as the associate judge. Y'all can, you know, have those discussions with her if y'all want her to take on the you know, the position as the primary judge and then bring it back. That way she can at least get started with working in the municipal court and get moving with those, you know, with any actions that need to happen.
okay. And if she's willing to do that, can we discuss the contract on an executive session?
So I can give you executive session for appointment and duties and how we can go about setting up the contract to avoid legal liabilities. So we can have some discussion regarding fees and such for the contract in closed session, but at the end of the day, you know, we do have to come back out and make that known.
Okay, so we'll leave it as is, and hopefully she accepts the associate judge for this meeting tonight, and then on the next following meeting, which will be on the 2 weeks from now, which would be on the 1st of February.
1st of February. The
Yeah.
first.
Judge, yes, are you willing to accept that associate for this next 2 weeks, where she won't be our primary, but in the next meeting, we can put you on the agenda as to become our primary judge? You're on mute.
I knew that. Hi, everybody. Yes, so I believe that this was going to start on February 1st if it was going to be brought to be the presiding judge. So I can accept the associate judge for the next 2 weeks. And then if y'all see fit to appoint me as the presiding judge starting February 1st, then I will accept that also. I will ask you tonight, though, if it's going to simply be coming back to change the wording to presiding judge on the 1st, if I will need to be there, or if that is just something y'all will vote on.
Most likely it's just an agenda item that will be voted on. Whichever way it goes, I'm not sure, but it will be put on as an agenda item for an action item.
Okay, y'all just let me know what y'all need me to do on that. And does anybody have any questions for me?
Oh, I do, Judge.
Okay.
Judge Carey. I mean, just because I had no idea that you were going to be on tonight's agenda. My
Okay.
understanding, I mean, I had no information. I was looking through the agenda item and it didn't specify that you, Judge Karen Diaz, were going to be on the agenda to be approved as an associate judge.
Okay.
So my question to Councilman Martinez, the other applicant, Greg Kendall, has that been denied?
There's no name on Greg Kendall. It just says associate judge.
Okay, but
And,
the applicants,
there's
and
no
I'm not getting, it's just that even on this one, I mean, I'm totally like, what happened where I didn't get any information that Judge
Mayor-
Karen Diaz was gonna come on board?
Mayor Pro Tem, it's no different than when you were talking to Judge De Los Santos and brought her in
But
without.
with Judge De Los Santos,
Right.
I gave the council notice.
So on
And
this,
if they would
on
approve
this
it.
agenda item, it has no name, just associate judge. So
Okay, that is just, it just didn't make any sense, because as you recall, the council, you three, Councilman Martinez, Councilman Lopez, Councilman Flores, when I had introduced just to bring her on board, all three were refusing Judge De Los Santos at that time. I mean, but here again, Judge Karen Diaz, it's just something that's new to me. This is the first that I had heard that you were going to be on the agenda. I mean, I wasn't aware about it.
Sure, I understand, and I have no idea what y'all are talking about, so I'm just gonna stay out of that
Okay.
part of it.
Good, then we're in the same page. We don't know what's going on.
I
Okay,
guess it's like a box
well,
of
thank you.
surprises. We were
Okay.
surprised back then, we're surprised tonight, so.
So with that being said, council members, on item E, action item E, D, consideration with possible action to review and approve applicant for the position of municipal court associate judge. Do I hear a motion?
I make motion to approve Judge Karen Diaz as the municipal court associate judge.
Okay, Councilman Martinez made the motion. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Okay, Councilman Lopez seconds the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain on this because I had no information. And like I said, Judge Karen Diaz, I apologize. So
No
it's-
problem.
Thank you. So 3 ayes, 1 abstain, motion carries. This action item D is closed.
Thank you.
The next action item is E, discussion to set a workshop meeting date to discuss the infrastructure needs of the wastewater treatment plant.
Mayor Pro Tem, I had asked to put that on the agenda item because we need to hold a meeting, a workshop to discuss the infrastructure needs of the wastewater plant. Now that the impact is gonna affect the capacity right now with this Somerset project and all the new developers that want to come in. Nothing in regards to the RV park because I knew that wasn't gonna impact it. But anyhow, going back to the Somerset, being said that it's gonna bring in what 200 acres of growth, which is 100 acres of industrial park, residential. So with that being said, that we need to set up a workshop to discuss the infrastructure needs of the wastewater plant.
Okay, Councilman Martinez, do you have a date at this time? If you can
Well,
let us know.
I'm hoping, like I told Norma, if we can invite Robert Vieira from LNB and hopefully Abel can make it, Abel Sanchez for our public works. And possibly Mr. Wiley himself, since he's gonna be a big part of the Somerset project. And, so we can all put our minds together and our thoughts and see what we can come up with. I know Mr. Wiley has mentioned the Texas Water Board has different grants where we can approach. And so putting this workshop together with important people can help us out move forward faster in this. Excuse me. I'm thinking if Norma, if you can send out an email to Robert, Wiley, and Abel and have them set a date that would be convenient to them for a workshop.
Wouldn't it be good, since we're having a workshop tomorrow, can we discuss all of this in with it too? Since we're gonna be discussing the Somerset and everything, because Robert already agreed, Robert will be in tomorrow. Andre will be in. So far, everybody that we, and Wiley won't be in, I'm sorry, and Philip won't be in.
Tuesday, tomorrow. So I spoke with him and actually asked him if he could join us. He said the earliest it can be a Wednesday or anytime after that.
Okay. Since we've already got Robert on board, Andre, and all these people. Because we could discuss it, I think we could discuss it, couldn't we? I mean, it's infrastructure on the Somerset and everything.
Well,
So I'm going to jump in here and say
it's
it
not, you
is
have
of
to-
Somerset,
Mhm.
but I think what Councilman Martinez is asking for is he's probably going to want something that has a lot more meat and detail to it to have a workshop on the infrastructure. So I think it might be wise for y'all to set, an additional workshop for infrastructure discussion.
Then I would have to probably do it sometime next week, or if I can post an agenda maybe for Friday to give me the 72-hour notice.
Right, because you have, regardless if we could do it tomorrow, you can't add it on as maybe as a supplemental agenda, but it still doesn't give you 72 hours. So.
Well, yeah,
What
and
about-
tomorrow, like I said, I think we're focusing kind of on other portions of it, but the infrastructure is going to be a big, component of this project. So, it might be good to kind of split it up a little bit so that we all don't get over with how much information is coming.
You want to
Yes,
set it
thank you.
for the 26th? Which will be next Tuesday?
Well, that's on a Tuesday, so
That's on a Tuesday, or the 25th, which is Monday. We would have to check with Wiley and Philip.
I hate to ask council to move this to a further date other than tomorrow, but this discussion is going to take more than getting Wiley involved would be a big help, I believe. But I'm just hoping he's free on the next Monday. I can shoot him a text, or you can call him tomorrow, or I'll be glad to take the lead on that. Get a hold of him and ask him if he's available. If y'all got a few minutes, I'll shoot him a text right now.
And while we're on the discussion of city engineer, it's come to my attention, council, that y'all don't have an actual professional services agreement with L&B. And so I know that they've done all the city engineers work for the city. And I know it'd be a good idea to have them continue to do it, come on board and work with y'all on this project because they have all the historical knowledge, of the city's infrastructure and such, but we need to start considering about getting them under, a professional services agreement.
Yes, I agree with that because they've been with the city for over 10 years and I've never seen an agreement, MSA with them, which is a master service agreement or professional agreement service.
Right, yeah. And clearly they know what they're doing and they have the historical knowledge of the city's infrastructure, but we just want to make sure to kind of tie up that loose end.
Right. Make sure everything's done through protocol, Okay. I sent him a text, but he hasn't replied, but how does the council feel about the this week, Friday, like Norma says?
I'm
Well, I'm good with that too, but what if we use
He just
more
replied.
than,
He said yes.
okay, so we're gonna do Friday,
Or Monday, of the 25th, next Monday.
Monday? I'm okay with that.
So we're going for Monday, the 25th?
Yes, ma'am. And I'll give Robert Vieira a call and give him my personal apologies for having to move this at a later date. And who else?
Well, he'll be in tomorrow's workshop. Okay.
All right, so with that being said, the discussion set for workshop meeting date to discuss infrastructure needs of wastewater plant is set there for the 25th of January.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that's, the date's been set and I'm good for that too. So I'll be there. So if there's nothing else to discuss on that, there's no old business, no closed session, open session. Now the next one would be reports. Members, as stated before, all the reports, I know Chief of Police and Chief Cano sent his, Chief Garza. I sent my report, and I believe Norma, you sent yours also.
Yes, ma'am.
So if for some reason there is any questions on those reports, if you would like to bring it up for a future agenda item, or to get in contact with anyone that you need to ask questions on.
Right. I don't have a report, Mayor Pro Tem, but I want to address the council that we have been addressed by the TCEQ, the wastewater treatment plant, that we're not in compliance. So I think we need to discuss that as well. Hopefully tomorrow we can maybe add that to the discussion.
Yes. Yeah, at the workshop tomorrow. Yeah, that would be good. Okay. So council members, are there any, does any council member have any future agenda items that they would like to post for next council meeting?
I might have one, but at the moment, I personally don't feel that the city is
Oh, you got time, Pablo.
well, no, because we have a lot of important stuff on our plates right now. I've been approached from this board tech representative again about if we're still interested in a splash pad park for the city, for our children's park.
That'd be cool.
That would be really good.
I just pretty much told them that, we'll get back with you ASAP. That's it. I hate to tell them no, and I hate to tell them yes. So when the council decides or gets ready to move forward with this, we'll discuss it or whatever, and then invite him over if need be.
Can we put it on an agenda so you can come and give a presentation?
Well, at this time, don't you think, council members, we need to discuss about the wastewater treatment plant through the workshops, but
This
for
is
us to follow through?
Yeah, but these things, they use their own water. They don't
No.
go back to the plant.
Lourdes asked me if we can put this as an agenda item, not on a workshop.
Oh, no, I heard what he said. No, whatever y'all decide, but I think the most important thing right now is concentrate on our infrastructure, and especially, because like you said, with TCEQ, we need to make sure we take care of that, priority.
I mean, we don't have to put them as an agenda item at all right now, because it would be just a presentation.
Okay, all right,
And if the council feels differently after the presentation, then it can become an agenda item. But as at the moment, it's just a presentation. But I didn't say yes or no, so.
Okay, all right. Are there any
I'd like
more
you
items?
to solicit it. I'd
Are
like
there
you to
any more
ask him
items?
for the,
Okay.
no, I'm just trying to get to Pablo that I would like him to talk to that guy to show a presentation.
Sure,
Okay.
not a problem.
All right, if that's, if there are no other, oh, you know what? There is one future agenda items, members, that we need to, Norma, I know in March, the contract for Bill and Mr. Garza. And I know that, and most of the time they will show us the financials, but maybe it would be time also just for them to come in and just do a report for next council meeting on February the 4th, just to give us an update as to how things are going along.
They're supposed to give us a report every month anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, and like I said, it's been difficult with, about putting them on the agenda. So hopefully on February the 1st, Norma, we can, put them on the agenda, just to give a report.
Okay.
Because you're right, Councilman Flores, they haven't been able to give us a report, or they haven't been on the agenda for a report.
And I remember when I discussed with the IT before we approved the contract, I had a talk with him, and he's supposed to submit a report
Yes.
every council
Every
meeting
month.
as well.
Mhm.
No, every council meeting, I thought,
That's right.
which was not done.
Hopefully you can give us an update on February the 1st. Okay, council members, if there are no other future agenda items, do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I make motion to
Make-
adjourn this meeting at 7:57.
Okay, Councilman Martinez makes the motion to adjourn at 7:57. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Councilman Flores seconds the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
4
Aye.
ayes, 0 nays. Council is adjourned. Thank
Thank
you all. Y'all have a good night and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank
Hey.
you.
Pablo, do you think you can stop by and sign checks?
Yes, definitely in the morning.
Okay.
Because I got other things to do in the morning, so I don't have to be at work early, so I can stop by.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Pablo.
Yes.
Hey, I'll be there Monday porque Cowboys are playing Monday.
Good night.
I know. Talk to you later, man.
Por eso no te quieren, Álvaro.
Hey, they're my team. Hey, Cano.